Hey everyone, it's Deathclock1637 here, and this is the second video in my How to Play Path of Exile 1 series. Um, in the last video, we basically took you through the beach portion to kind of help you understand the super basics of picking up a weapon, picking up a skill gem in Ruthless and defeating Hillock with that, and then doing that again in normal trade league where we had a support gem and we basically read out what ruthless support would do, beat Hillock, and now we're in the Act 1 town. So let's zoom out. Basically, I wanted to spend this video going over the passive skill tree. It can be very intimidating to people, but it's not that bad. I did say that there was a passive skill point available. I have still not yet allocated it. Okay, so get ready. Here we go. We're going to click it. In 3, 2, and boom. All right, so this is the passive skill tree. Really, it's not that bad. And you may hear a lot of content creators say that about this tree, but really it is not. So really, there's a few things to understand. First one is the starting points. You can see that the wheel here is populated by the Marauder, and he has his own like little place on the tree. That's true for every class. So basically, going around, we have the Marauder, Templar, Witch, Shadow, Ranger, and Duelist, as well as the Scion in the center. You can kind of see that theme play out in Path of Building, which is a build planner, pardon me, for Path of Exile. And you can see the Marauder, Templar, Witch, Shadow, Ranger, Duelist, and then Scion in the middle, where these points are nice and lit up. But back to the game. So there are a few concepts to understand when you're going through this tree. You really should not look at it as too much of like a big thing. You should really kind of look at it in pieces. And those pieces will be the sort of regions. So think of it as 4 pieces. So in the Marauder section, we have this left side. Then we have the upper section, the right side of the tree, and the bottom. So starting on the left, what do we have here? We have a lot of things involving just a lot of physical skills, health, and certain other skills involving like strike skills and things like that. So let's dig a little deeper into that. I know I haven't really gotten into the nodes and have been really like beating around the bush on this. So we have 3 types of nodes, and you can see all the types kind of showing in here. So the first type is a small node. These will have some sort of small bonus, or will be an increase to some sort of stat. So that would be strength, intelligence, or dexterity. If we can find a green node nearby, they'll all be color coded, and we'll be able to basically just tell you at a glance what it's about. So here's the dexterity. They're all plus 10 for these travel nodes, as people tend to refer them to. And what we're going to do here is we have 2 possible paths to start. We're just going to take the physical damage and some life at this particular moment. Now, like I said, these small nodes can be some sort of smaller bonus to whatever, like physical damage or war cries. But this is when they get into a wheel that they do have some other purpose than just a stat. So these nodes leading up to those are called travel nodes. And from those small nodes, you'll get into what is called a notable node. So when you can hover over a notable, it's those slightly larger icons, and then you'll get much more benefit out of these. So if we look at Born to Fight, we have 4% increased attack speed, plus 20 strength, and 26 increased physical damage. Generally, you will aim to path to something that is meaningful for your build in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, just a bit of accuracy, movement speed, and dex and intelligence, which is very helpful at times. When you're aiming for when you're aiming for a skill that might require those two stats and you don't have them. Heart of the Warrior, same thing. Lots of bonuses to life. And then we get into other areas of the tree, like here, where you can get nomadic teachings for +2 maximum all resistances. And those notables do share, that kind of added bonus. So the third type of node is where you can see these larger things. Those are called keystones. And I'm going to focus on a few keystones that get mentioned a lot, I would say. So these larger keystones sort of stray away from offering a strict benefit and will often offer a downside as well. So there's unlikely a point where you're going to see something on the keystone range that doesn't have a sort of kiss and curse mechanic, right? So that being, like I said, upside and downside. So one of the first ones I want to point you to is Resolute Technique. You see this pop up a lot of times in some high scaling flat damage builds. And you would think, why would I never want to deal a crit strike? Well, that's at the benefit of now really just getting to avoid accuracy. Like your hits can't be evaded, but you never deal crits. And in some high scaling builds, this can matter a lot because you're never going to scale crit, but you are going to scale your flat damage in some way other than, needing to rely on the two stats of crit chance and crit multiplier. Another one on the same vein of melee will be Precise Technique. When you're early in the game and you don't really have any room to scale into critical strike damage, this is a great thing to take because you'll just have 40% more attack damage if your accuracy is higher than your maximum life. And there will be a lot of ways to make that happen with wheels like this one or other ones around the area. I'll get back to that center node I hovered over earlier. But like I said, this is just an easy 40% attack damage when you're early on. And again, you are too early in your progression to really scale into something like accuracy. So what I have hovered over here was called a mastery. So each wheel will have a theme with an icon in it to tell you kind of what it's for. So this is resistances generally. So this will be elemental ailment avoidance, and then there'll be some other benefits after you spec to the notable node that will unlock. So a lot of times the notables are at the end. Sometimes the whole wheel will loop around, but you can see this is for bows, this is for evasion, this is for accuracy, and it's pretty easy to understand. You can only pick one of these masteries per wheel, but you can pick similar ones if you go to a different accuracy mastery. So we can just look for the icon here. So let's say if you wanted to have more accuracy against unique enemies, then you could pick the 40% more accuracy against unique enemies here. And then here you could take the plus 500 accuracy and -2 accuracy rating per level. You could synergize in that way. But going back to the Marauder, like I said, those are the types of things that you have available. Now, there are a lot of other keystones here, but that's kind of the concept I wanted to relay. And I did say that, each section has its theme. So generally, you're aiming for a lot of attacks and toughness on this side. So you'll get mace mastery, axes, swords. Moving down here will be the duelist, and then you'll have a little more intersect with rage on hit, attacks, um, retaliation skills that are available with the duelist, and then moving on to ranger with all of the uh, there's a sword mastery here, which you could probably path to with the duelist, but we're going to look at more of the bows, projectile. Same thing that can happen with the shadow with certain skills using claw masteries, traps and mines, and then going a little further back into the witch area where you can see all of the elemental themes that you get up here, along with some um, charges. And there will be some like totem and minion stuff around this side too. But yeah, that's kind of it for that. Like I said, I've only spec'd one small node, and I would have to get a little bit further in the game to start explaining the rest. But hopefully that cleared up some misconceptions and sort of helped you along the way. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Have a good day, and see you in the next one.